We're now almost 2 months into the NBA season. Now we can kind of grasp at what teams, like what their level is at, what teams are disappointing us, what teams are surprising us. To me, one of the more disappointing teams definitely has to be the Denver Nuggets, who are currently on a 6-game losing streak. Simply isn't entirely their fault that they're disappointing. Their season has had a lot of negative things just go their way. But basically in today's video, I'm just going to be talking about why I'm a bit concerned for the Denver Nuggets. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to reach my goal of 3,000 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro. But quickly before we get into the video, gotta show you this really quickly. This is the new diversion water bottle. It's basically a water bottle where you can put stuff like your keys, wallet, and other kind of small items like in your water bottle that will make you lose it way less. And it will also just help you to not have your pockets full and things like that. Click the link in my bio if you're interested, and into the video. The first and main reason I'm really worried about the Denver Nuggets is due to the fact that their second best player in Michael Porter Jr. is going to be out for the foreseeable future with a back injury. Coming to the NBA, Porter was always a guy who people were scared about, like his health concerns, but after he missed like the first half of his first season, he didn't really have any major health scares. He didn't really get injured until now. He has a serious back injury that is so bad that they don't even know when he's going to return. The thing about back injuries that it's not like he broke his back or he hurt his knee or something where they could put like a timetable on it. His back could just be hurting for like the next 4 months and he can't play, or it could stop hurting within the next 2 weeks. We don't really know when he's gonna return, and when you realize that he had back problems in the past, I don't really have that much confidence that he's gonna return too quickly. This obviously hurts the Nuggets because he's like their second best player. He's their best perimeter scorer, and he can just bring so much to their offense as a guy who can score over 20 points every night. I am aware he was playing absolutely horrible to start the season, averaging less than 10 points, shooting 35% from the field and 20% from 3. But I think we all know he was probably playing that bad because his back was bothering him, because there's no way he was just playing that terrible for like 9 games in a row. But honestly, without Porter Jr., I don't know how good this Nuggets team actually is, because that would make their second best player be a guy like Aaron Gordon or Will Barton. Those guys aren't scrubs or anything like that, but they're role players at best. They're not all-stars. And without Porter Jr. on the team, I definitely cannot see this team being a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. If they had Porter Jr., I think they are a top 5 seed in the West, but without him, I generally think they're going to be in the play-in tournament, so I'm definitely concerned about that. They're also missing Jamal Murray. He's scheduled to come back near like the end of the season. That means they're gonna have to go like 2 or 3 more months without him, which is a bunch of games. And even when he returns, I guarantee you he's not gonna return and be the same Jamal Murray that we saw from before. So the Nuggets are currently missing like 2 of their star players, and they're not gonna be at full strength anytime soon. That definitely worries me. It should worry you if you're a Nuggets fan, because this team doesn't have the same depth that it did a few years ago. They need their star power. The second reason I'm worried about the Denver Nuggets is due to the fact that so far this season, their offense has been absolutely terrible. We usually view the Denver Nuggets as a team that's always a top 10 offense in the league. Even when they didn't have Jamal Murray, they were still a top 10 offense in the league. They were just a team that always was good on offense because they have Nikola Jokic, who is one of the 5 best offensive players in the league. He just makes everyone and his teammates better. But for some reason, so far this season, they've been absolutely terrible on offense. They currently rank as the 21st best offense in the league. That's definitely not good. And to be honest, I think the biggest reason for their struggles is because Michael Porter Jr. was not playing good when he was playing. And then he missed like the last 12 games. So they've been really dependent on guys like Will Barton, Jeff Green, Aaron Gordon, Monte Morris, and some others to like kind of like recuperate whatever his output was. But I don't think they're getting enough production. And on defense, Denver's not too bad as they're ranked like right in the middle, but Denver isn't really known for their defense. There was like a stretch where they like first got Aaron Gordon, they were fully healthy. They were like the best defensive team in the NBA, but we don't really look at Denver as a great defensive team, just the above average one. Offense is where we expect them to be good, and they simply haven't been that so far this season. If I'm being honest, I do expect them to pick up their offense at least a little bit, but I don't think this is going to be the same top 10 offense Denver team we've seen in the past. I think they'll just be like an average or maybe a slightly above average offensive team. But all I'm going to say is if this team can't pick up their offense and they just keep struggling, they probably are just like the 10th or 9th seed, to be honest. But I do have faith in Nikola Jokic because he's just that good on offense, bro. Third reason I'm worried about the Denver Nuggets is the fact that other teams in the same conference are slowly trending upward and starting to look good, whereas Denver is starting to look bad and trending downwards. Because as I said at the making of this video, Denver is currently on a 6-game losing streak, which means that like before to start the season they were actually going strong. I think they were like 9-3 or something, or 9-4. But ever since Michael Porter Jr. left, they've just been absolutely terrible. And in that time frame, teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves, Portland Trailblazers, Dallas Mavericks, LA Clippers have all surpassed them in the standings. And I'm not gonna lie, I think Denver with Michael Porter Jr. is just as good as all those teams, but without him and without Jamal Murray, I think Denver is worse than all of those teams. Not by a significant margin, but they are just clearly worse than those teams. Those teams are currently over Denver right now, not by that much, but they still are over them in the standings. And without Michael Porter Jr., I don't know if Denver can win enough games to surpass those teams. Right now, Denver is currently the 10th seed, meaning they would have to be in the play-in tournament and have the hardest like time in the play-in tournament. Obviously, I don't think Denver is going to finish the season off as the 10th seed, but without Michael Porter Jr., I honestly think this team is going to be in the play-in tournament. I don't think they're going to fall out the play-in tournament because the team like who would try and kick them out is Sacramento. Sacramento is just complete trash. I was going to say something else, but Sacramento is just trash. They're not going to catch up to Denver. But when I see a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves on fire as of late, and I see a team like the Blazers who are getting off like to be better after like a terrible start, makes me question whether or not Denver will be a top 6 seed. The fourth reason I'm kind of worried about Denver right now is the fact that Nikola Jokic does really have too much help right now. At least when he had Michael Porter Jr., he had another all-star level player who could drop 25 points on every given night, but now he doesn't even have a player of that caliber. Their second best player to me so far has been Will Barton, who's actually been playing really well this season. He's actually really underrated, but at the end of the day, he's just a solid starter in today's NBA. He's not an all-star. He might have games where he plays like an all-star, but on most nights, he's just a guy who gives you 14 to 17 points and play makes a little bit. That's not good enough to be your second best player, and that just puts so much stress and offensive load on Nikola Jokic, who you have to remember is a 7-foot center, but his stamina is actually very surprisingly good. They also have Aaron Gordon, who I would hope could go back to his Orlando days where he was a guy who was dropping like 18 points a game. He's only averaging like 13 points right now. I think he needs to be a little bit more aggressive and assertive, but a guy like Jeff Green has been stepping up and giving them some much needed points, as he's averaging like 10 points. Monte Morris is averaging like 11 points, but those guys are just role players. You have to remember that at the end of the day, you need a real star player to do really good. I'm not gonna lie, I like Nikola Jokic, but I don't think he's on the level of a guy like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, or Giannis, where with this roster, he can just completely carry them to a high seed. I'm not saying he's not gonna carry them to the playoffs, because he will, but I feel like a guy like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, or Giannis would be able to lead this team to like at least the 5th seed. It's not disrespect to Jokic. He's still a top 10 player. He's not much worse than those players. It's just that they need to get him some more help, whether it's a trade. I don't really know. I don't have any ideas. But unless Aaron Gordon wants to start being more aggressive or someone like PJ Dozier breaks out, I really can't see Denver being a high seed this year. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know like what seed you think Denver's gonna be. Drop a like on this video, that will my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want NBA content. Also, if you want to help me show over 3,000 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video. I do respond to most of my comments, and I'm out.